Hi, I'm Brian Langford, team lead for the board sharing Winter-Spring 2022 Capstone project. Board sharing is a collaborative whiteboard that allows people to share ideas by allowing everyone to draw on the whiteboard at the same time, and allows users to record the session to view at a later time. The board sharing application mimics others well-known open source collaboration whiteboard tools, except it incorporates video, audio, and in future updates will allow file sharing, picture and videos to be added to the whiteboard. It will be the one-stop shop for all business collaboration needs. I will now give a demonstration of how this works. I'll now give you the demonstration. On the left and right are two different screens with two different sessions. In the white area is our canvas. Below here we have our tools, where you can select different tools, brush size, text color, and pen color. So here we're going to choose red for the toolbox, and now I'm going to make sure that the pen color here is a different color so when I draw. So let's draw something. I'm just going to say hi. Now we're here, we'll say hi as well. Now let's check out the box, the square. And we'll do a circle. Now let's start our meeting. And we probably want to record this, and you'll see that both people are indeed in the meeting. So let's go ahead and record it.
Recording is on.
We're now recording and we're able to continue our meeting. And then when we're done with the meeting, we just stop the recording.
Recording has stopped.
And this concludes my demonstration. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Steven Van. I'll be going over the project overview throughout the two terms. The first term, we tested modules that benefited our project visions, but also found some modules that did not work out for us at all due to it being broken or outdated. We've also created a first mock-up of the board and tested functionalities for each of the tools. And now second term, we made some improvements in the UI in order to make it look more appealing. We've also deployed our board onto Firebase. And finally, we added some networking using Socket.io. Business people are our main target, and this is due to any time management that they may have when trying to schedule meetings. This brings remote meetings possible, so it brings remote meeting possibilities, as well as the fact that this also includes the board itself, so they can elaborate and share ideas easier. The main features that we have for our board will be extensive board tools, login capabilities, and video chat. For our board tools, we pretty much have many different drawing utilities that includes different shapes, freehand drawing, line, and eraser, as well as the ability to change the color of the brush and the brush size itself. We have login capabilities that allows free account creations, safe account creations, which will keep and protect passwords, and we have access to free storage as well. So anytime you create recordings, you can access it through there. Our video chat acts like Zoom in this case with their video conferences, and this also includes the ability to record meetings with the board.
Hi, I'm Jiahui, and next I will talk about the features that might be added in the futures. So the first, we will add new ways to save files and videos in the future work. So the two main new ways are saving locally and saving to Google Drive. And the second, we also need to provide subrooms to provide users with group discussions. Of course, in the Canvas, so we still need to continue to update more drawing functions, such as polygons and ellipses, and providing various of line choice, such as like dotted lines or vivid lines. And finally, so in order to provide users with a better experience, and we also need to provide mobile servers in the future work, and such as providing Android and iOS software servers. So these are the new features that we need to update in the near future.
This is Aleksandr, and I will describe how we were able to achieve this project. I'll start out with a wide scope and then focus on how components interact with each other. So we have the client side, which is the front end, which has the actual whiteboard. In order to access the whiteboard page, a microservice from Firebase will authenticate users and make sure that users have an account. Lastly, if any type of recording is used in the app, the recording will automatically be saved in Dropbox. The whole app starts at index.js, which imports app.js. App.js has a router component which routes users to different pages, an auth provided component which makes sure that the user is authenticated before access to the whiteboard is allowed. So then we got a few possible routes where a user can try to navigate to. The first one is the home or the slash, which is just the default landing page. Then we got the sign up, login, and the forgot password pages. These pages have a form where user is able to enter information. The button then submits the request to Firebase, which does the appropriate action like create account, reset password, or signs the user in. And the last route is whiteboard. So this whiteboard app imports whiteboard.js. The first component in it is Jitsi meeting component. It allows us to be able to record the screen, video, audio, and save the recording into a Dropbox. Then we got the toolbar component. And it is a component where you can select your drawing customizations like shape, size, color, and text box. And lastly, the canvas component, which is a component where the drawing actually happens. And this component imports from canvas.js, which imports use canvas, which imports free draw. And this free draw is located in the tools folder. And in free draw, it adds event listeners for mouse up, mouse down, and mouse move. It then uses the tool values to call the correct functions to draw the selected shapes, color, and thickness.
Before truly beginning the project, and particularly during the selection process, our largest focus was on figuring out the most effective means for us to communicate, eventually leading to the creation of a dedicated chat group for discussion and scheduling, from which we launched Zoom meetings when called for to further coordinate. Getting everybody together all at once was occasionally an issue early on and throughout the rest of the project, but even when synchronous communication was difficult, we worked to make sure that everyone was on the same page. In the initial stages of the project, we began by identifying a list of the most important criteria for our project to meet, and identifying potential tools for approaching them in a rough order of importance, starting with the minimum viable product. Once we did that, we divided the early goals into separate workable tasks and assigned them to different individuals and pairs to be worked on in a series of weekly sprints. After the initial sprint and our feedback, we went back to our overall assessments and incorporated feedback from our sponsor as well to reevaluate those goals and refactor our process in order to prioritize what we had deemed more important in that second assessment, such as focusing on back-end logins over drag and select tools. Following this, we reiterated our core process further, taking the new goals and ordering them in order of importance before dividing tasks again, so that each person or pair for the issues that were expected to be more complicated could develop at their own pace during the time frame. Our earliest tasks with drawing tools ended up being comparatively straightforward and were overall simpler and faster to implement, particularly in comparison to later elements. As we approached the equally important elements of the backend and web implementation, such as the login tools and server features, the time to develop and successfully test each feature grew significantly longer. After that, we were then able to incorporate each of the individual portions we had worked on into the final version of the product that we have today.
Hi, my name is Nguyen. This is the responsibilities and contributions made to our board sharing application. Through these two terms, the work has been split into sub-teams and the tasks were assigned based on skill sets and volunteering. Everyone did their share of documentation with the architecture, research, standards, user stories, and some more. Some names that were brought up that deserve some special recognition for going the extra mile to help out the team were Brian, Leah, and Steven. With Brian, he contributed on the tasks outside his role while maintaining to be an understanding and motivating leader. Leah was able to help the team by introducing industry-level standards and development processes to the team while also doing the extensive research in the technologies used and planned to be used on the project. Lastly, we have Steven, who was a reliable teammate that was able to complete the tasks on a timely manner and help others when debugging or configuring code, as well as researching solutions when we were at a block. So we did come across some unexpected events during the development process. One of them being the boilerplate for the canvas we used. It initially had deprecated code and libraries, which we solved by creating our own foundation from scratch. When implementing Firebase Auth into our system, we had to refactor our code to be more modular, in which, in the end, it helped our developers with future tasks. In the process, from switching to the initial boilerplate to our own, we had discovered some problems with our drawing tools, which we had to spend a decent amount of time with to configure and fix. Lastly, we ran into a block when attempting to implement a cross-platform compatibility with Cordova. Since our code base is using the React library instead of the React Native, integration of Cordova would cause for many vulnerabilities.
Board sharing is a cloud-based tool that allows people in different locations to collaborate remotely via a shared interactive whiteboard, expanding the boardroom or the classroom to accommodate a distributed team. This board sharing team successfully brought this concept to life. The team was extremely well organized. I was kept up to date on progress and invited to participate in steering the priorities, and the team was quick to respond to suggestions and to advice. I believe the final deliverable could serve as a solid foundation for a commercial SaaS product.
Some of the most valuable parts of this project came in the form of lessons learned. One lesson was that scoping a task is very important, but also can be very difficult. For example, some tasks that seemed small ended up being rather large, and also the opposite was true, that some tasks that were deemed large and given a lot of time ended up being much smaller. This proved that scoping is rather difficult, but it also had a big impact on productivity. Another highlighted lesson is that it seemed as though the more time spent learning a technology had a direct correlation to the amount of time that was spent on the task. This means that the more we deep dived into a technology, it allowed for easier implementation and less time spent debugging. Another lesson is what had to do with roadblocks. We found that when a person becomes roadblocked, there should be a definite plan in place, because if not, it can quickly have a huge effect on productivity as the person is stuck not being able to do anything. However, overall, this project really allowed us to build our confidence through the experience of working with others and building a large code base and dealing with complicated situations.
This is Brian, and this concludes our briefing. We would like to extend a very special thank you to our sponsor, David Howell, and our instructor, Bruce Irvin. Thank you.